one, okay, you can't be on testosterone because it's under 200. I got 199.9 and I'm allowed to, so it's okay. No, that's not cheating. Of course it's cheating. You have to define what is cheating. You're going to define, what is wrong, what is right. And it's not going to happen until you face it and you do something about it, until somebody really cares. And the thing is, they don't care. They only care about one thing, and it's making money.
Money, yeah.
And a story, and it trickles down because now you have the parent that believes he's doing the best for the child, but now the child is on all this stuff. And really, why does a parent take that risk? So he could go to the June draft, sign, and it's about money. And so on and so forth. So, we have to come to terms. But I'm a big advocate of performance enhancing nutrition and even substances.
So I want to touch on something else because I know you do a lot of work with the anti-aging stuff,
right?
Having the background with the clinic and all of that. What do you see as like important right now for people, in their 40s, 50s, 60s? Like, what should they be thinking about?
Listen, you know what? Make sure that biochemically your body's working. You don't want any surprises down the road. You don't want a surprise a year from now.
Well, what does that mean? Like
So biochemically means, okay, you look good, you look great, or whatever. We really don't know what's going on inside.
Oh, exactly.
And so when do we draw blood? I think I'm a big also an advocate of drawing blood, of doing those checkups, annual checkups. But let's not do the traditional annual checkups that traditional physicians do and they're instructed to do because of big pharma and the insurance company. That's a whole different thing I don't want to get into. But, because, your lipids are fine and you don't have diabetes and it's okay. Everything okay.
So what is it that you would be doing that's not?
I would do a comprehensive panel of 150 biomarkers and basically look, are my metabolites okay? Are my vitamins are good? Are my hormones good? Are my steroidal hormones good? The ones we have naturally.
And those are not normally done.
They're not normally done. And again, lack of education, lack of knowledge, lack of information. And they don't know. But if you could do a simple blood test, but yet encompass a lot of markers, now we can look at your whole picture right now. So imagine drawing blood is like taking a picture of your insides. Notice how I did that? I'm old school. Because the other day I said, hey, take a picture. And they go like this. Oh, you mean a picture? This is old school. So, but let's take a picture of what's going on inside to see let's see what's missing. So, okay, this is the best analogy I get. So when we take that picture, it's like a puzzle. And really, when you do your traditional checkup, it's missing a bunch of pieces. We don't know what it's just giving you a little snapshot of the puzzle. But if you do a comprehensive blood test, you have the entire puzzle. Now you can see what's broken, what's faded, jagged edges, or whatever the case is, following the analogy I just made. But regardless, now we can now pinpoint what's going to happen in the future, most likely, what's happening now. And guess what? Let's fix what's happening now. Let's prevent what's going to happen in the future. And guess what? By default, not only we might save this individual's life, but maybe we could correct somewhat, a little correction on this whole insurance and healthcare that we have in this country, which is broken in itself because you have these people that get these chronic diseases later on in life. And then, they run out of Medicare, they run out of Medicaid. Now you got supplemental insurance and you leave these geriatric patients without money, later on in life, their whole savings is going on. So we have to start, I believe we have to start caring a little bit more. Most of the diseases that we get later on in life when we're older, those are, self-imposed, in other words, we ate wrong. Yeah. We smoked too much. We drank too much.
Consequences
of our lifestyle. But if we have that roadmap or that picture, that puzzle, then we can start doing something about it. And now we can start saving lives and
Yeah.
quality of life. It's not because
Well, listen,
yeah.
as somebody in my 50s, I'm concerned, obviously.
By the way, you look
about-
great.
Thank you. But I mean, I'm concerned about it. You know what I mean? Like
And you should be, right.
So for someone like me, what would you
First thing I would do is definitely draw your blood, get this whole comprehensive panel, probably do a metabolic testing, comprehensive metabolic testing, probably food sensitivity, metals, so on and so forth, to see what's really going on. That's the first step. And then once we get the results back, then I could sit down with you, Damian, and say, okay, look, this is what's going on.
And what are some things that you normally see, let's say, in people that are 40s, 50s, 60s?
Well,
like some common things that you would prescribe or suggest to them.
Yeah, a lot of these companies you see and they advertise low T, low T, low T. I think that's a term that was obviously, it was coined by some marketing guru, brilliant, by the way. It's low T is not in any textbook. It's either hypogonadism, hypergonadism, or normal findings, whatever. But again, even in the industry itself, it's not regulated, which is crazy. And now anybody could do this, and they're even providing wrong information. Because
what do you mean anybody could do this?
Well, anybody that, a nurse practitioner, any doctor, hell, in this town, anybody could do it. You can get a guy in the street, open up one of these things, advertise,
a syringe, and
get himself a medical director who's 90 years old, who's sitting at home and do this all day long. So we have to do this responsibly because, look, perfect example. I'm glad you asked that question. Low T, they find that it's low testosterone, but it doesn't necessarily it needs to be your testosterone that's wrong. That's why you need the whole puzzle. It could be adrenal insufficiency because it's all linked together. It could be adrenal fatigue. It could be stress that drove that testosterone down. So you have to address the stress cortisol. I mean, the stress hormone, which would be cortisol, but you also have to address the other adrenal hormones like the DHEA, pregnenolone. Maybe it's just we tweak here and then your T levels go up. So the objective to all this anti-aging thing that you hear, functional medicine, whatever you want to call it, there's like 6 or different names, the same thing, is there's 2 objectives. There's one, let's fix what's broken. And then B, let's have your body do the heavy lifting so your body can start producing more on its own. Because the 50 that you and I were taught, how to be. In other words, when you're 50-year-old, when you're 50, you get tired. That's a crock of shit. You're not supposed to be tired.
That's very important that
you're not supposed to be tired.
Said that.
Yeah, absolutely. You're not supposed to have arthritic-like conditions in your knees. The body, it's proven that the body could live to 120 plus years.
Really?
Absolutely.
120 plus.
Right now. 120.
And what about quality? You mentioned quality.
And that's
how long do you keep that quality?
And you want to keep that quality at least 80% of the years that you're living, and hopefully live the majority of those years with quality. And if you start at an early age, wow, you got a great shot. For us, it's not too late because a lot of the things that's going on in the body right now before you're a diabetic, you were pre-diabetic.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Before you had cardiovascular disease, hell, you should have seen those lipids shoot up. Before you had high blood pressure, you should have understood that your angiotensin system was compromised because that's what happens. Before all these chronic diseases happened, there were signs.
Yeah.
You ignored them and your practitioner ignored them. So if anything, I'm advocating, hey, listen, guys, it's not about, hey, come over here and get a testosterone shot. No, it's about, hey, do your blood test. Educate yourself. An educated consumer is probably the best consumer in your business and my business.
For sure. But how do you? I mean, Google could be a nightmare.
No, Google's no. Yeah, that's not the way I'm talking about educate.
So what would you recommend?
I would recommend find yourself a professional, Now that could be the right trainer. I'm not knocking them, so I'm gonna because I've found some good ones. I mean, the majority of them don't know, but they think they do, but they know. But there's some good ones. The right or collaboration of these guys. Find yourself the right practitioner that is willing to do these tests, that understands that there's value to other markers that you do in blood and not just your typical markers. Find yourself that nurse practitioner. Find yourself somebody that knows what they're doing. They walk the walk,
Yeah.
you know, and go ahead and it's a partnership. I've always said the solution to healthcare in this country, it's a partnership between your physician or your caregiver or your provider and yourself. If you have that communication and you have that partnership, wow, we could change the face of healthcare. But insurance companies doesn't allow that because they don't pay for that partnership.
So the crazy thing, I was just about to touch upon that. So the crazy thing is that the kind of stuff you're talking about is not covered.
No. God forbid, we could get rid of erectile dysfunction. I
didn't realize that in that moment.
We could get rid of erectile dysfunction. We get rid of diabetes. We get rid of cardiovascular disease. We could get rid of a lot of immune suppressive disease. We get rid of the silent killers, if you will. We could get rid of stage 1 cancer or tumor growth or irregular cell growth. We got rid of a lot of things. But if we do that, now we go, now Big Pharma might get pissed.
Yeah.
But guess what? I have a solution for Big Pharma. Get involved.
Do you think they will? Are they doing it? You
know what? Another great question. I'm glad I led you to that question. Listen to this. Yes, I believe that they will. And that the industry that I'm involved in, this anti-aging industry, before it was like you went into a clinic, okay, with a doctor, without a doctor, didn't matter. You went into a clinic and that physician provided you all the medications right there on site. So now what Big Pharma has done, they're watching. And so they're analyzing what is selling, where their sales dip. Their sales dip down. And I'm going to give you a perfect example. And so now they're watching. And so this industry, this anti-aging is going patient specific. If you go patient specific, now you're no longer a threat to Big Pharma because you're doing one-on-one, meaning patient specific means whatever you need, I'm going to call the pharmacy. If I was a physician, I would call the pharmacy and get it all for you, individualized for you. Right now, sales are going through the roof of HCG, as a prime example, because the doctor's ordering 200 vials. And they're not for anybody specifically.
Got it.
They're just
inventory.
So using that as an example, guess what happened at HCG last March? It became a biological. Now it's Big Pharma owns it. Wow. Now you can't compound it, because of the HCG diet and all that other stuff. And so now HCG you can't go into an anti-aging clinic and get HCG from a compound pharmacy. If you do it, it's coming from somewhere else, just FYI, because now you have to go with a prescription to CVS, Walgreens, Rite Aid, or whatever your pharmacy is. And now instead of $40, now it's $400 or whatever the case may be. And Big Pharma's watching. Big Pharma understands that it's a threat. It's a small threat, but it's an ever-growing threat because there are a lot of therapies in the anti-aging world that have leaked into traditional medicine, such as peptide therapy. And so for those that don't know what peptide therapy is or peptides are, they're short branch chain amino acid put in a certain sequence in order to trigger the body to do something. By the way, we naturally have them in our bodies, but the more we have, the more we can trigger, which allows somebody like me, to biohack you, the term biohack or hack you or manipulate certain biochemical reactions. But now you see the oncologist use peptide therapy. Now you're seeing the orthopedic surgeon use peptide therapies. They realize.
And for what you do, you all were using peptide therapy also.
Oh, absolutely. I was using it before. Yeah. I was using it. Now I can say it. There's a freedom to this getting caught going to prison.
Go to prison.
And pay the price, and there's a freedom now. I can
Well, that's one of the reasons I want you here.
Now I can say what I used to do.
Exactly.
Before peptides were FDA approved, we were doing peptides, and so MLB, you know, and it's funny, and I continue saying MLB because I'm just using them as a reference. But they were wondering, hey, but how do you do it, man? You don't look so smart. I go, well, you're not too smart yourself because you were looking for testosterone or steroids, and I was giving you peptides. You know, so so. You know, that was part of it. So it was a big learning curve for MLB.
And are there drugs that mix with this stuff that are particularly bad? I mean, if somebody is using ecstasy or crystal meth or poppers,
listen,
you know.
And I know what you're saying. So yes, if you're using narcotics or you know or drugs socially, you know. To get high or whatever, there's some of these substances don't interact well with those drugs, and then like for example, you know, let's take a steroid like or you know, there's these designer steroids that they've like if one steroid wasn't enough, they put 3 together, and now they call it a triple stack.
Oh wow,
type of deal.
Yeah.
So you get these steroids with high milligrams, and you're a drinker. You know, you're heading to easily. You know, either a kidney malfunction, and I've seen it over and over again, or you know, you have cirrhosis of the liver, or forget about fatty liver. We're beyond that. So, but on the flip side of that, guess what? The prescription drugs also interact with these drugs. So, and now you got exactly. So now you got the guy who's overweight. Using these steroids, and he's overweight and he has high blood pressure, and you know he's doing a little you know, he's popping some mollies on the weekend or whatever the case may be. Trifecta.
Yeah,
it's a perfect storm. And
drinking alcohol
or drinking alcohol is a cherry on top. Yeah. And so and they're out there plenty. And so again, if we were educated, if somebody actually cared enough, by the way, I care enough. I'm just a one-man show, and half the people don't want to listen to me. The other half are scared of me, fear, and the other half probably think I'm full of shit. But which is fine, which is it's good. It's okay. I've learned to embrace that. You know, I made a career out of it. but nonetheless, if you can actually, you know, educate these people. And by the way, there's a lot of advocates out there, a lot of physicians out there that are willing to step up and do that. But there's a stigma. Let's get over the stigma. Look,
what's the stigma?
The stigma is
illegal.
That they're illegal, and you know, if the athletes do it, if they say it's illegal, then it's illegal for. No, it's not illegal for us, and no, it's not. Testosterone is not illegal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, listen, like marijuana.
Put it this way, you're right. Well, look. If we finally embraced marijuana, and now what was born out of marijuana? CBD. And by the way, it works.
Yeah,
it works for some, like for pain or whatever the case may be. And so, wow. So because we said, okay, we embraced marijuana, and at least we confronted it. You know, and eventually became legal and so on and so forth. Now we were able to take the next step and investigate CBD. Mm-hmm. And now you got people coming out of the woodworks that are brilliant, that could offer all this information about CBD. And they did.
Yeah.
And so the tide is changing in the cannabis space. Let's do the same thing over here.
Yeah.
And maybe we could save lives, and maybe we could teach our young athletes.
Yeah, because if they don't allow the research, there's no way. There's no way.
How are we gonna know?
Right. There's no way to know.
How are we gonna know? You know, but there's a lot of us out there that have a lot to offer, and you know, and then change.
Tony, you said something about prescriptions that freaked me out a little bit, because would someone like you be able to take, like if you're taking a torvastatin, which is for lipids, which is for high cholesterol,
correct,
to look at all of that and do the red flags if something doesn't interact?
Absolutely. And that's part of the whole thing.
But I didn't even know if there was research on that. Like, do they actually test to see if these drugs?
Oh, absolutely. There's research.
There's other things.
There is research.
Like human growth hormone with atorvastatin.
Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. There is, not only is there research, there's already outcomes out there that would tell you most likely what would happen if this and this and this and this, or if you're taking this, and this,
or if you're taking Viagra and you're taking this, and then you're taking a liquor.
Exactly. There's information out there. There's information out there, and people don't realize it. You know, more people die from overdose of prescription drugs than they do of street drugs, narcotics, or all these steroids that we're talking about. You know, listen, prescription drugs kill more people than everything else that we've talked about, but that's okay. See the hypocrisy?
Nobody questions that.
Nobody questions that. So that's a societal problem that we have, and we have to embrace it. But until we take that first step.
Well, listen, I've got 2 minutes left in this show, and I'm going to use them wisely.
Use them wisely.
I want you to let people know how they can find, 2 or 3 people, including yourself, if they want to find you. Like, how can they do some research and maybe scope out this space and pick 3 sources to choose from?
Well, probably the best form, the best way out there is that there's an industry organization out there called American Academy for Anti-Aging. And you won't remember that, but you will remember this: A4M. A, the letter A, the number 4, and the letter M. And you Google A4M, and they are, they're the ones that control this industry, and they'll find you a provider, the right provider for you, and they'll guide you through that jungle.
Yeah, it is a jungle.
It is a jungle. Or you could on Instagram, the real Tony Bosch. There's fake ones out there, by the way. There's pretenders, but you can definitely DM me, the real Tony Bosch, and I will be more than happy, to give you information. I love this industry. I have a passion for it.
And you're 305 certified.
And I'm 305 certified, baby. And so, and then I'll guide you to the right provider, depending on where you're at. So not only people here at the 305, but I got fans all over the place: New York, Vegas.
I have no
Dallas,
doubt.
Houston.
I have no doubt.
So go ahead and reach out. Remember, the real Tony Bosch. There are imposters.
Tony, man, thank you, brother.
Thank you for having me, Damian.
No, thank you.
Grateful, blessed to be here.
And thanks all of you for watching. And next week, come back to the